Chapter 1071. Silly boy. Even if I can write out the plan immediately, you can't go today. Aren't you rushing to make your grandfather suspect you? I really don't know what you're thinking. Jia Yubian glanced at Jia Huiyan and said unhappily. In his heart, he was beginning to doubt whether Jia Huiyan was his biological son. How could he not even think of this point? So stupid. That's right, I really didn't think of this point. Jia Huiyan stopped walking. His originally excited expression turned into one of deep worry. I'm just afraid that if this matter is dragged on for too long, it might lead to more problems. Problems, my ass. Can't you wait until the family meeting to bring it up? And at that time, you can still. Jia Yubian smiled mysteriously and said the plan in this manner. The smooth process had obviously been carefully thought out. Too awesome. Why didn't I think of it? Jia Huiyan listened without blinking. He first sighed in admiration, then thought for a moment and asked hesitantly, but, will there be any risks? After all, Jia Muzin is now the successor of the family. So what? Jia Yubian had an indifferent look on his face. He didn't take Jia Muzin seriously at all. Although this plan does have some loopholes, our Jia clan is a large clan. You have to remember, in large clans, we believe that the winner is the king and the loser is the thief. In many cases, as long as there is a good reason to suppress the other party to death, it will be fine. When the time comes, the person will be dead, and your grandfather will definitely not investigate further. Have you forgotten how Jia Muzin's parents died? That's right. This idea of yours is too wonderful. Jia Huiyan listened and nodded his head. He could not wait to go up and kiss Jia Yubian. He fell into endless fantasies. At that time, not only will Tang Xuanjiao have to obediently marry me, but Jia Muzin will also definitely not have the face to face his benefactor, Shao Chen. Under the unbearable shame, he will commit suicide. This way, we can kill two birds with one stone. It is simply too perfect. You really are my biological father. This intelligence, this strength, they are all top-notch. Nonsense. Of course I'm your biological father. Otherwise, why would I be so considerate of you? Jia Yubian didn't know whether to be angry or to laugh. He waved his hand and dismissed Jia Huiyan. All right, stop flattering me. Hurry up and make the arrangements. I'm going to write the proposal. Don't bother me if there's nothing important. All right, I'll arrange it right away. In a while, I will ask the servants to stew a ginseng soup for you to nourish your brain. Hee. Jia Huiyan immediately agreed. With a wicked smile, he ran out. Jia Yubian shook his head and ignored him. He sat down and lit a cigarette. He took a few pieces of white paper and a pen. After thinking carefully for a while, he started writing on the paper. 3 days later, in the conference room of the Jia clan. Early in the morning, Jia Jinyan called everyone over and held a family meeting. During the meeting, he officially announced that Jia Muzin would take over the position of the young patriarch and become the rightful successor. In the meeting, Jia Huiyan, Jia Tuyao, and Jia Renzhong also became the successors of the three new elders. Jia Yubian and Jia Yudo gradually stepped back, and from now on, their main task was to assist the three new elders in their daily work. After Jia Jinyan finished his announcement, he asked everyone in the clan to express their views and opinions. In fact, many people were secretly dissatisfied with Jia Muzin. After all, he didn't have any background or qualifications. He had never deliberately curried favor with the members of the clan. Therefore, everyone had doubts about him becoming the patriarch. However, in the current situation, they had no choice but to say a few good words against their conscience. They gave Jia Muzin verbal support and encouragement. After all, Jia Jinyan was watching from the side with shining eyes. All right, since everyone has finished speaking, then Jia Muzin, Jia Huiyan, Jia Tuyao, and Jia Renzhong, hand over the proposal that I asked you to do a few days ago. Let me see if you have any special suggestions. Jia Jinyan knocked on the table, glanced at everyone, and said indifferently. Grandpa, this is my proposal. Please have a look. Jia Huiyan was the most enthusiastic one. Before Jia Jinyan finished speaking, he took out his proposal and handed it to Jia Jinyan. When he walked back, he proudly glanced at Jia Muzin, as if he was showing off. Jia Tuyao also quickly took out his proposal and respectfully handed it to Jia Jinyan. With a sincere face, he said, "Grandpa, this is mine. Because I was in a hurry, my handwriting is a bit sloppy. I hope you can forgive me." The two of them did not deliberately conceal the proposal they had submitted. Everyone present saw the 3 or 4 pieces of paper that were densely filled with words. They secretly marveled at the two of them who usually did not show off their strength. No one expected them to have such extraordinary strength the moment they made a move. Jia Muzin and Jia Renjong glanced at each other. They looked a bit hesitant. They only had 2 pieces of proposal, and they only had a few dozens of suggestions. They couldn't compare with Jia Huiyan and Jia Renjong's voluminous proposal. However, since Jia Jinyan was waiting for them, they had no choice but to brace themselves and hand over their proposals. Jia Jinyan didn't care about it. He first took Jia Huiyan's proposal and flipped through it. However, after reading a few lines, his originally relaxed expression became a bit strange. His eyebrows were tightly knitted, and the expression on his face was uncertain. "Huiyan, did you write this proposal yourself?" Jia Jinyan didn't make things difficult for Jia Huiyan immediately. Instead, he patiently read all the contents of Jia Huiyan's proposal. Then, he casually put it aside, raised his head, and asked with an expressionless face. "Of course. You only gave me 3 days. In order to write this proposal, I didn't even sleep enough. It took me a lot of effort to write it." Jia Huiyan nodded without hesitation and said shamelessly. However, Jia Yubian, who was sitting at the side, had a slight change in expression. He was worried for his son. He guessed that Jia Jinyan must have noticed something wrong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked such a question. "Oh. Then let me ask you. About what you wrote in the proposal." Jia Jinyan didn't directly expose him. Instead, he casually asked a few questions. Basically, they were all written in Jia Huiyan's proposal. Although Jia Jinyan could guess that this proposal was definitely written by Jia Yubian, he wasn't too obsessed with it. This was because he also knew what kind of conduct Jia Huiyan had in the family. The possibility of this kid writing a complete proposal in 3 days was too small. Jia Jinyan, on the other hand, believed that as long as Jia Huiyan could seriously read this proposal a few times, he should be able to learn a lot of things. It would also be helpful for him to serve as an elder in the future. Therefore, he brought up the problems in the proposal. He wanted to test whether Jia Huiyan understood the contents of the proposal. "This. Grandpa, which part are you talking about? Please wait a moment. I wrote too much. Plus, I didn't get enough sleep. I can't remember it clearly." Jia Huiyan didn't expect Jia Jinyan to suddenly ask him a question. He was dumbfounded and stuttered as he explained. Chapter 1072. In the past 3 days, Jia Huiyan had been thinking about how to trick people perfectly in the family meeting, so he hadn't even touched that plan. Now, in a hurry, he subconsciously reached out his hand, trying to take another look at the plan. "No need, go back and write another one. This one is invalid." Before Jia Huiyan could take the plan, Jia Jinyan snatched it away, tore it into pieces, and threw it into the dustbin on the side. All right." Jia Huiyan helplessly watched the plan turn into a pile of trash. He lowered his head gloomily, as if he had nothing left to live for. Originally, he thought that he could perform well in the plan and win his grandfather's praise, which would severely dampen Jia Muzin's morale. However, it turned out that the loss outweighed the gain. Without even looking at Jia Huiyan, Jia Jinyan lowered his head and continued to read the next plan. "Grandpa, I suddenly remembered that my plan is also not good enough. How about you allow me to take it back and make some changes first, and then give it to you in a few days?" Jia Tuyao's weak voice suddenly came from the meeting room. Seeing Jia Jinyan flipping through his own plan, Jia Tuyao was so scared that cold sweat flowed down his back. What happened to Jia Huiyan just now was still vivid in his mind. Jia Huiyan's plan was also not written by him, but written by Jia Yuto. Although Jia Tuyao had taken a few glances at the plan, based on the professional level of his grandfather's questions, he had no confidence that he could answer them at all. Jia Jinyan coldly stared at Jia Tuyao for a while, until the meeting room fell into silence. The strong pressure made Jia Tuyao's legs soften, and he almost knelt down. Jia Jinyan picked up his plan, tore it into pieces, and said with a sullen face, "I'll give you 3 more days. If you can't finish it by then, your father will continue to be responsible for your elder positions. When you two have learned to think and plan for the family, you can take the position again." "Oh, all right." Jia Tuyao trembled under Jia Jinyan's stare. His face turned pale, and he dared not to say anything. Jia Jinyan's aura was too strong, and he couldn't even think of resisting. Then, Jia Jinyan picked up the other 2 plans, which were obviously written by himself, and patiently read them. After reading for a while, Jia Jinyan felt that although the content written by Jia Muzhen and Jia Renjong was still a little immature, especially when it came to considering the overall situation, it was still not bad overall. There were also a few shining points. It was just that they lacked practice and experience in some of the projects. "All right, Muzhen, Renjong, I won't ask you questions about these 2 plans. I can see that you wrote them yourself, which is commendable." Putting down the proposal in his hand, Jia Jinyan patiently instructed, "You have to spend more time reading up in the future, especially the past transactions and plans of the family. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me directly." "Yes, we will follow your instructions." Jia Muzhen and Jia Renjong secretly heaved a sigh of relief and replied in unison. "Jia Jinyan, Jia Yut. Jia Jia, Jia, Jia Jia, Jia Jia, 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 Jia Jia Jia, Jia, and stood. "You, Jia, Jia Jia, Jia, oh." Jia Jinyan, who was about to walk out, stopped in surprise. He glanced at the usually silent Jia Qinu, and then looked at the restless Jia Huiyan. He had a rough idea in his heart, and lightly said, "What's the matter? Speak." Jia Qinu took a deep breath, saluted, and said, "Grandpa, as the patriarch, shouldn't I be selfless and guarantee the interests of everyone in the family? Not only can I not bully the people in the family, but I also have to lead everyone to unite against external enemies?" "Correct." Jia Jinyan nodded. Although he couldn't figure out what Jia Qinu was trying to do by saying this, he remembered that the family already had a young patriarch, Jia Muzhen. He turned his head and asked, "Muzhen, as the young patriarch, what do you think?" "Grandfather, I also think that what Jia Quan'el said is correct. If the patriarch is unable to bring benefits to the clan and is unable to protect his own clansmen, then this patriarch is definitely not competent enough." Jia Muzhen stood up and declared with a solemn expression. He could guess that Jia Qinu definitely didn't have any good intentions for jumping out at this time. But since his grandpa threw these words at him, he couldn't pretend that he didn't hear it. He could only choose to adapt to the situation. "Muzhen, since you said so, then I have a question to ask you." Jia Huiyan finally moved. He stood up and said with an innocent face, "What question?" "I'll answer as much as I can." Jia Muzhen secretly thought that the main topic had finally come. He didn't know what kind of trick Jia Huiyan would play this time. Jia Huiyan sighed heavily. He looked straight into Jia Muzhen's eyes and said, "As the new young patriarch, is it convenient for you to explain why my legitimate fiancé, Tang Xuanjiao, is actually staying in your room? Tell me, do you have any shameful relationship with her?" "What? Don't talk nonsense." Hetien. Tang Xuanjiao is innocent. She is Xiao Chen's girlfriend." Jia Muzhen was startled. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he explained. This Jia Huiyan was really too much. If he wanted to suppress me, he should at least clarify the matter first. "Xiao Chen's girlfriend? Then I find it strange. No matter what, he is the external help you invited." You aren't planning to sacrifice the interests of your family members to curry favor with an outsider, right? Jia Huiyan's tone gradually became sharp. This is an act of betraying the family. The originally quiet conference hall gradually became filled with whispers. Many people were usually busy with their own affairs and didn't know the specific situation of this matter. At this time, they were whispering to each other and casting surprised gazes at Jia Muzin. Jia Muzin faintly felt that something was wrong. Just as he was about to open his mouth to refute, Jia Huiyan didn't give him the opportunity. Jia Huiyan shook his head and said, Jia Huiyan, although I lost to you in the family grand competition, I am still the young elder of the family. How can I receive this kind of treatment? What if it was an ordinary Jia family member? Wouldn't it be even more impossible to reason with them and could only let you bully them? The originally whispering voices suddenly became louder. Some of the family members who didn't know the truth were moved by Jia Huiyan's words and looked at Jia Muzin with dissatisfaction. You even dare to bully the elder of the family? Then wouldn't we all be trampled underfoot? This young patriarch was too unreliable. He had just taken office, yet he was already so arrogant and despotic. These are two different matters. Don't confuse them. Before I returned to the family, Tang Xuanjiao was already Xiao Chen's girlfriend. You are clearly twisting words and forcing logic. Jia Muzin's complexion changed as he immediately refuted. Chapter 1073. At this moment, he finally understood that Jia Huiyan seemed to be complaining for his fiancée, but in fact, he just wanted to take the opportunity to make trouble and ruin his image, so that he could regain the position of the family head. Young Master Mu Sun, why do I feel that you are the unreasonable one? Jia Shuluo also stood up at this moment. He passionately said, You are the patriarch, of course you should protect everyone's benefits. How can you ruin young Master Huiyan's engagement for an outsider? Jia Shuluo snorted coldly, pinched his throat and said in a weird tone, I remember that young Master Huiyan was already engaged to Tang Sujiao before you ran away from home. Don't you know about this? Or are you pretending to be stupid to cover up for Xiao Chen? Yeah, Mu Sen, I think what you are doing is really inappropriate. Yeah. If we can't even protect our own interests, how can we work for you in the future? That's right, I think young Master Mu Sen is looking down on us Jia family members. Otherwise, why would he run away from home? He must be holding a grudge. At this moment, Jia Tuyao and the others chimed in as well. Although Jia Huiyan had only given them a simple greeting beforehand, under the current situation, people with evil intentions would certainly not let go of this great opportunity. In just a few minutes, Jia Tuyao had already made up his mind. As long as he followed Jia Huiyan and pushed Jia Muzin down, the position of the family head would be vacant. At that time, both of them could compete for the position of family head with their own abilities, and either of them could succeed. Jia Jinyan looked at the chaotic scene in front of him, and his face turned a bit ugly. Of course, he knew about the incident with Tang Sujiao. However, this kind of small favor and love between two parties had always been a matter of mutual consent. If he really wanted to calculate, it would definitely be a big mess. Therefore, he usually chose to turn a blind eye to it. However, he didn't expect that Jia Huiyan would bring up this matter, and he even chose to stir up the emotions of the clansmen during the family meeting. Under the agitation of the crowd, even if he wanted to protect Jia Muzin, he couldn't. He had to come up with a solution to calm the situation first. Mu Sun, since everyone has objections, how do you think we should deal with this matter? Jia Jinyan interrupted everyone's jeering and said with slight impatience. In fact, he was unwilling to deal with this kind of problem from the bottom of his heart. Jia Jinyan felt that complaining to the patriarch about everything and not being able to solve it himself was a sign of cowardice. It was just like when you fought with someone when you were young and accidentally lost. Not only did you not think about how to make yourself stronger so that you could win the next time, you would cry and complain to your parents, using the adult sympathy to get your parents to deal with your opponent. Seeing your opponent being defeated, you would feel proud and elated, but in the end, you would not make any progress. This, I think. Jia Muzin naturally wouldn't agree to Jia Huiyan's request, but he couldn't think of a solution at the moment. With an awkward expression, he lowered his head and thought for a while. Finally, he made a decision and said, I think we should ask for Miss Tang's opinion on this matter. We can't decide someone else's marriage by ourselves. Ask her? What's the use of asking her? This marriage was decided by the elders of the Jia family and the Tang family together. How could she have the right to decide whether she would marry or not? Is there a need to ask? Jia Huiyan was unforgiving after gaining the upper hand. He asked aggressively, Musen, look at you. You're actually speaking up for an outsider again and again. Don't tell me that you've forgotten your roots so quickly after taking the position of the young patriarch. Don't make irresponsible remarks. Jia Musen suppressed his anger and said with a frown, Of course, that's not what I meant. Although the marriage between you and her was decided by the elders of both sides, you still have to respect her opinion. We're not an ancient feudal family. Everyone here is educated. How can we arbitrarily control someone else's fate? Jia Musen cursed Jia Huiyan to death in his heart. He didn't expect this guy to be so shameless. He couldn't get the position of the young patriarch, so he made a big fuss about marriage. If he couldn't protect Tian Soran this time, wouldn't Shao Chen tear him apart when he returned? Jia Huiyan's method of killing two birds with one stone was really vicious. Oh, you're pretty good at talking, huh? Do you think you're amazing just because you've attended a few days of university? What kind of higher education did you receive? Jia Huiyan snorted disdainfully at Jia Musen's words. He raised his chin and sneered, Back then, grandfather also agreed to my marriage with Tang Sujiao. Aren't your words the same as accusing grandfather of not being educated, of not respecting a lady, and of being an unreasonable person? I didn't say that. What I meant was... Jia Musen was speechless. This Jia Huiyan's intentions were sinister. He actually dragged Jia Jinyan into this. For a moment, Jia Musen didn't know how to defend himself. What are you trying to say? Say it. Didn't you claim to be educated, and very reasonable? How did you become mute so quickly? Why don't you continue to argue? Jia Huiyan's arrogance soared. He crossed his arms and said with a fake smile. Bang! Just as Jia Musen's face turned red and he was thinking of how to refute, the meeting room's door was suddenly pushed open. Everyone was paying close attention to the two people who were at daggers drawn. When they were suddenly interrupted, they turned their heads in a bad mood. However, they discovered that it was actually Shao Chen and little lass Xing standing leisurely at the door. Aya, are you guys having a meeting? I'm really sorry, we are late. Shao Chen casually waved his hand and walked in casually, sitting on the chair beside Jia Musen. Little lass Xing was stunned. She didn't expect that Shao Chen would walk in directly. After hesitating for a while, she followed him into the meeting room and found a seat not far behind Shao Chen. Everyone from the Jia clan was either sitting or standing. They all stared dumbfoundedly at Shao Chen's actions. What was up with this guy? Why did he act like this was his home? Why was he acting so familiar? Shao Chen crossed his legs and waited for a while. Seeing that no one was talking, he said in astonishment, Why did you stop? Although I know that I am handsome, you don't have to look at me with such admiration. Don't be affected by me. Hurry up and continue with your discussion. Shao Chen. This is our Jia clan's meeting. What does it have to do with you? Do you really think that you are the master of the Jia clan? Hurry up and scram. Jia Huiyan was so angry that smoke was coming out of his head. Just as his perfect plan was about to succeed, he didn't expect that Shao Chen would suddenly return and immediately chase them away. That's right. Why don't you look at your own status? You are just an external helper. What right does you have to participate in the Jia clan's internal meeting? Jia Tuyao immediately echoed. He also realized that the situation was not good. If he allowed Shao Chen to interfere, this good situation would very likely be ruined. Chapter 1074. TSK, you two are indeed good friends who pick up each other's soap. Even your statements are so uniform. Xiao Chen glanced at them and mocked coldly. Don't talk about useless things, hurry up and leave. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. Jia Huiyan glared at Xiao Chen fiercely. He wasn't afraid of Xiao Chen in front of his grandfather and family members. Xiao Chen shook his head and turned to Miss Xing helplessly. Young master transvestite, you came to attend the ceremony for the appointment of the Jia family's young master under elder son's order, but these guys actually want to drive you away. They really don't give face to Awakening Heaven sect. They don't take you seriously at all. They are courting death. I think you should go back and report, and directly launch a war against Demon Sect. Demon Sect war? It doesn't seem to have reached that level yet. Xingyu declined to comment and said indifferently. Although she didn't know what Xiao Chen wanted to do, since he was here, she would cooperate with him. Anyway, she didn't have much of a relationship with the Jia family. Jia Huiyan and Jia Tuyao immediately became silent. Their arrogant expressions were still on their faces, but in the blink of an eye, they were replaced by astonishment. Their faces twisted a little. Originally, they just wanted to drive Xiao Chen away so they could continue the previous topic. They completely forgot that young Master Xing was beside them. As a result, they unintentionally offended Awakening Heaven sect. When Xiao Chen said this, they could still treat it as a joke or a threat. But looking at young Master Xing's response, it didn't seem like he was talking nonsense. Suddenly, they didn't know what to do. They subconsciously looked at Jia Jinyan, wanting to ask for help from the most experienced family head. Young Master Xing is right, there is indeed no need. Jia Jinyan was a little disappointed with Jia Huiyan and Jia Tiao, but he still smiled and came out to smooth things over. Although I have already announced the end of the meeting, we are now just chatting after the meeting. If young Master Xing is interested in our chat, why not? Family head is still the most sensible. Unlike some youngsters who think they're infallible and speak incoherently, they don't know what they're talking about. Xiao Chen did not pursue the matter. Instead, he cupped his hands towards Jia Jinyan. Jia Jinyan smiled. He was very satisfied with Xiao Chen's willingness to quit while he was ahead. His gaze moved back and forth between young Master Xing and Xiao Chen. Although he had not figured out the relationship between these two people for the time being, Qi Tian's sect could not be offended no matter what. Even if the Jia family was one of the three big families in the inner martial arts circle, there was still a big gap between them and Qi Tian's sect, the leader of the demon sect. Mu-san, what were you guys talking about before I came? Xiao Chen pretended that he did not see Jia Jinyan's probing gaze. He asked calmly, look at all these people fighting so fiercely, as if they are going to divide the family property. The Jia clan hasn't reached the point where they are going to divide the family property, right? That's not it. It's just that Jia Huiyan said he wanted to marry Tang Xuanjiao, that is, Tian Xuanjiao. I expressed my opposition, but they wouldn't agree no matter what. They insisted that I give them a reasonable explanation. Jia Muzan explained. Jia Muzan's mood was very relaxed. Since Xiao Chen had returned, he was not so anxious to get angry. Arguing was not his strong point, but Xiao Chen was not to be trifled with. He would definitely teach them a lesson. Oh, isn't it just tape? Just give them some double-sided tape or scotch tape. At worst, give them the expensive 3M tape. What's there to be reasonable about? It's scary to be uneducated. Xiao Chen shrugged his shoulders. He glanced at Jia Huiyan and Jia Tuyao as if they were fools. His expression was very disdainful. Jia Huiyan's face turned red with anger after hearing Xiao Chen's sarcastic words. However, he felt a little helpless in his heart. Xiao Chen was not a member of the Jia clan. The tricks that he had thought of before were completely useless against him. After thinking for a long time, Jia Huiyan could only choose to use the Tang clan as a bargaining chip to threaten Xiao Chen. He hoped that he would know how to retreat. Xiao Chen. Don't think that just because you have the Open Heaven sect supporting you, you can do whatever you want in the Jia clan. Jia Huiyan shouted without any confidence, Tang Xuanjiao and I already had an engagement. It was decided by the elders of both sides. If you forcefully take her as your woman, aren't you afraid that the Tang clan? As if he did not hear Jia Huiyan's words, Xiaochen did not wait for him to finish his demonstration. He leisurely turned his head and said to Miss Xing as if there was no one else present, "Lady boy, do you believe that I don't even need to beat him up? That idiot will voluntarily give up and give me Tian Xuanjiao? Che, how is that possible? Of course I don't believe it." Miss Xing curled her lips. Although she said that, she was very curious. She had a faint feeling that since Xiaochen could say it, he would definitely be able to do it. You don't believe it? Then open your eyes wide and watch. Xiaochen smiled and did not explain further. Immediately, he released his soul consciousness and attacked Jia Huiyan. Jia Huiyan paused for a moment before he said aloud, "It doesn't matter if I'm not afraid of the Tang clan. I choose to voluntarily give up Tang Xuanjiao. In the future, she can marry anyone she wants. It has nothing to do with me. If I continue to harass her, I'll be struck by lightning." After he finished speaking, the entire meeting room became silent. It was so quiet that even the drop of a needle could be heard. Everyone was dumbfounded, especially Jia Huiyan's subordinates and Jia Tiao's group. Their faces were full of disbelief. They did not know what Jia Huiyan was thinking. He actually sent the duck that was already in his mouth back into the hands of Xiaochen. Jia Jinyan frowned. He was also a little puzzled. Although he had guessed that Xiaochen might be playing tricks in the dark, he did not feel any demonic qi this time. What was going on? In fact, once a cultivator reached the nascent soul stage, they would have reached a state where they could return to their original state. Unless the other party was also a nascent soul stage cultivator, even a 10th stage venerable realm cultivator at the peak would not be able to sense anything strange. What's wrong? What did I say just now? Jia Huiyan had already regained his senses. Seeing that everyone was staring at him strangely, he could not help but feel a little dizzy. He felt that his head was muddled and he had no idea what had just happened. Since Jia Huiyan has voluntarily given up on this marriage, let's just forget about today's matter. I will let go of the humiliation he gave me before. After all, as the young master of the family, I have to be broad-minded. Don't you think so, Grandpa? Jia Muzhen stood up and spoke unhurriedly. He knew that Xiaochen had secretly done something, so he was not surprised at all. Yes, you're right. All right, if there's nothing else, let's adjourn. Jia Jinyan nodded and took a deep look at Xiaochen. He was very surprised that Xiaochen had hidden the demonic qi so well this time. He wanted to ask how he did it, but he felt that this was not the right time. Thus, he walked to the door of the meeting room and left first. Chapter 1075. Xiaochen stretched his body. After Jia Jinyan left the conference room, he didn't want to stay any longer. He stood up and hooked one arm around Jia Muzhen's shoulder, while the other was about to hook Miss Xing's shoulder. In the end, Miss Xing dodged and glared at Xiaochen. "I'm not touching you anymore. You're so stingy. You're really a lady boy." Xiaochen had no choice but to walk out with Jia Muzhen. Miss Xing snorted angrily and followed Xiaochen out of the conference room. Before leaving, Xiaochen glanced at Jia Huiyan coldly, as if he was looking at a dead man. He originally didn't want to kill Jia Huiyan, but this idiot actually dug his own grave by targeting Tian Suruan. How could Xiaochen tolerate this? Therefore, Jia Huiyan was already on Xiaochen's blacklist. A while later, most of the people in the meeting room had left. Both Jia Huiyan and Jia Tuyao had dark looks on their faces, and left without saying a word to each other. Soon, the entire meeting room was empty, and no one could be seen. At this time, in a corner not far from the conference room, a black shadow was hiding in the shadows, staring at the situation in the conference room. Until no one came out of the conference room for a long time, the black shadow looked around. After confirming that there were no outsiders nearby, he took out his phone and dialed a number. "It's you? Aren't you going to attend the family meeting today? Why do you have time to call me?" After the call was connected, a cold voice came from the other end of the phone. Elder son, the meeting has just ended. That old bastard Jia Jinyan has already announced that Jia Muzan will be promoted to the position of the young family head. I'm afraid that we will have to make some changes to our previous plan. The Black Shadow said gloomily. From his tone, he sounded very indignant. It seemed that he had great resentment towards Jia Jinyan and Jia Muzan. Back then, when you told me that Jia Muzan had hired Xiao Chen as external aid, I had already expected this outcome. Elder son was very calm when he heard this news. In his opinion, if Jia Muzan didn't become the family head, it would really be a little strange. Sigh. It's a pity that we've prepared so much in advance, but a piece of rat poop has ruined the whole pot of porridge. The Black Shadow still hadn't let it go and murmured. Elder son smiled and said indifferently, but you don't need to be too anxious, don't we have a backup plan? We can officially start now. All right. We can start now. The shadowy figure nodded and suddenly remembered something. He asked, oh yes, elder son, why did young Master Xing attend the clan meeting today? Moreover, he even said that you sent him here. If you don't let him participate, Awakening Heaven sect will launch a war against the demon sect. What's going on? Is this your arrangement? Elder son was stunned and a little confused. He shook his head in astonishment and said, no. I've never given her such an order. Did she tell you this herself? That's not it. We were originally in the middle of a meeting and were about to succeed when Xiao Chen and young Master Xing suddenly barged in. Then, the shadowy figure recounted everything that had happened in the meeting in detail. Oh. I did arrange for young Master Xing to spy on Xiao Chen. But according to what you said, it's no longer surveillance. It's more like accompanying him. Elder son was very puzzled. After thinking for a long time, he said cautiously, could it be? Young Master Xing betrayed Awakening Heaven sect? That's also impossible. She has always been very loyal to the sect. Ever since she was young, she has never had any problems. However, although elder son said this, he also recalled that although he hadn't contacted Xing last recently, he also hadn't received any calls from her. Logically speaking, after not contacting her for such a long time, if it was a mission in the past, Xing last should have taken the initiative to give him a call and report the situation. Could it be that there really was a problem? Elder son, do you think young Master Xing has been used by Xiao Chen? I think you should be more careful. He should have quite a bit of information on Awakening Heaven sect, right? If he turns around and helps Xiao Chen to deal with us, then we'll be in big trouble. The shadowy figure analyzed clearly. He's just a dog raised by Awakening Heaven sect. Elder son snorted lightly and said with a tone full of disdain, moreover, I have something on young Master Xing that even she doesn't know about. If she really dares to betray the sect, it'll be as easy as flipping my hand if I want to kill her. Although elder son did have a trace of vigilance in his heart, he didn't intend to tell the shadowy figure that this guy was only a partner of Awakening Heaven sect. There was no need to show fear in front of him. As the saying goes, even a cornered dog will jump over a wall. I advise you to be careful. The shadowy figure didn't buy it and replied indifferently. You don't need to worry about that. I naturally have my own methods. You just need to clean up your own mess. Otherwise, the foundation of our cooperation will be in danger. Elder son said sinisterly and didn't wait for the shadowy figure to say anything else. He immediately hung up the phone. After playing with the phone for a while, elder son seemed to be thinking about something. After thinking it through, he immediately called young lady Xing, Do. The number you have dialed is currently switched off. Your call information has been sent to the other party in the form of a text message, please. Hearing the notification tone, elder son was slightly startled. In his memory, young lady Xing's phone had never been switched off. The sect had a rule that disciples' phones had to be on standby 24/7. Why was it switched off? After waiting for a few more minutes, elder son tried to dial young lady Xing's number again. However, the notification tone was still switched off. This time, he was completely infuriated. His fingers flew around randomly as he opened up an app on his phone. He stared at the green confirm button for a while. His fingers trembled slightly in the air, but he didn't press it in the end. Perhaps her phone ran out of battery and she couldn't find a place to charge it. This kind of situation was very normal when she was out on a mission. In the past, when young Lady Xing went out on missions, her completion rate was basically 100%. Furthermore, she had followed Xiao Chen before. It wasn't very likely that she would suddenly betray him this time. Forget it, I'll call her again in a bit. After comforting himself, elder son put down his phone and casually took a book from the bookshelf. He absent-mindedly flipped through a few pages, but his eyes didn't land on the pages. Instead, he stared fixedly at the phone, hoping that young Lady Xing would quickly switch on her phone and give him a reply. Xiao Chen and the others walked towards Jia Muzin's courtyard. When they reached a place where there was no one, Jia Muzin let out a long sigh and said, "Xiao Chen, luckily you came back in time. Otherwise, I really wouldn't know how to handle this. Jia Huiyan is really despicable." Chapter 1076. It's nothing. This is my problem anyway. Xiao Chen waved his hand. Because there was some trouble at the mine, I accidentally caused a high-level spiritual jade mine to collapse. Jia Jinyan then sent more people to investigate. In order not to arouse any suspicions, I could only return first. It was just a coincidence that I was in a meeting. After speaking, Xiao Chen sighed lightly. Although he had used the past few days to stabilize his original infant stage cultivation, he was afraid that he would not have the chance to use spiritual jades to level up in a short period of time. He had tried to sneak into other mines to absorb more spiritual jades. In the end, he discovered that every mine had increased the number of guards. Moreover, there were Jia Jinyan's trusted aides mixed in. He had no way of using Jia Hongyong's connections to sneak in. In the end, he could only give up. It was a pity. Jia Muzin looked at the two strangely and laughed. Speaking of which, why did the two of you come back together? Could it be, he? Xiao Chen heard Jia Muzin's words and immediately denied it. Don't be silly. Why would I like this transvestite? Screw you, you're the transvestite. Just now, in front of so many people, I didn't argue with you. Now, you're still not done. In any case, I saved your life. Can't you say something nice? Little girl Xing placed her hands on her hips and scolded angrily. She didn't know why, but she was more and more concerned about Xiao Chen being called a transvestite. Every time it was mentioned, she would feel suffocated. She wanted to tear that mouth of Xiao Chen's. Alright, eunuch Xing, may I ask what you plan to do next? You've been watching me for so many days. That should be enough, right? Hurry up and report to that elder son of yours. Prepare to pack up and return home. Xiao Chen waved his hand and said with a grin. Actually, Xiao Chen was a little surprised. Previously, when he told little girl Xing to prepare to return, he thought that she wouldn't follow him back to the Jia clan. He didn't expect her to follow him back. You! Little Miss Xing was so angry that she stomped her feet. She wanted to make a move, but she realized that she couldn't beat Xiao Chen. Her eyes rolled around, and her expression immediately became one of grievance. She took out her phone and pouted unhappily. When I saved you in the mine, my phone was smashed. How am I supposed to contact elder son? If you want me to go back, then cut the crap and compensate me with a new phone. Xiao Chen lowered his head to take a look. He discovered that there was indeed a large crack on Xing's phone screen. There were even some blood stains on it. The scene in the mine seemed to replay before his eyes. His heart was instantly filled with warmth, and he felt that he owed this chick. I'll compensate you with a strand of hair. Who told you to use the apple 6 plath? Although he felt guilty, Xiao Chen still teased Xing. Then, he took out his phone and threw it on the ground. You! What do you mean by this? Little Miss Xing was stunned. Did this Xiao Chen become stupid after being smashed in the mine? My phone is broken, and he wants to smash his phone to accompany me? Isn't this action a little too unimaginable? Xiao Chen leisurely squatted down and picked up the phone that was smashed on the ground. He waved it in front of little Miss Xing, and the phone was actually still in perfect condition. Look at Appa's triple defense counterfeit phone. Not only is it cheaper than yours, it has 2 modes and 2 standby modes. It has an extremely long standby time, and it's also resistant to smashing, water, and transvestites. Hurry up and change to another one. The discounted price is only $399. Xiao Chen said proudly, dragging out his tone. This. Little Miss Xing almost rolled her eyes. Is this Xiao Chen a clown? Is he using his life to make a joke? What if it really breaks? She curled her lips and continued to insist, I don't care. Anyway, my phone was destroyed because of you. You must compensate me with a new one. Otherwise, I will stay here and not leave. It wasn't that little Miss Xing didn't want to leave. It was just that after interacting with Xiao Chen for the past few days, she felt that staying by his side was more relaxing. It was much better than going back to the sect and facing those expressionless people. Little young Master Xing, I do have a few phones that have been lying around. They are brand new and have been placed there as a backup. However, they aren't Apple phones. If you don't mind, you can take one over to use. I don't change my phone often. If I don't use it for too long, it might break, Jia Muzhen, who was standing at the side, said with a smile. Knowing that little Miss Xing had saved Xiao Chen's life, Jia Muzhen was extremely grateful to her. Not only did he give her a phone, he was even willing to give her something more expensive. Are you serious? What brand are those phones that you have lying around? Are they the same as Xiao Chen's? Are they triple defense phones? Little Miss Xing asked casually. What? Are you looking down on our triple defense phones? They are cheap, good quality, and durable. They are much better than your Apple phones. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows, his face full of displeasure. I'm really not sure about this. It might not even be as good as Xiao Chen's triple defense phone. It was given to me by my family a few years ago. After I left, I didn't plan on contacting my family, so I just left it there. Jia Muzhen recalled and said with a bitter smile. Oh, that's fine. As long as it can be used. Little Miss Xing waved her hand. She didn't really mind the triple defense phone. As long as she could make calls and send messages, it was fine. Alright, then wait a moment. I will go find it for you. Jia Muzhen immediately ran to his courtyard. When he left home, he had stuffed the phone in a corner of his room. He didn't know if Jia Qinchu, who had taken over his home, had found it and thrown it away. Xiao Chen and little Miss Xing stopped at the same time. They didn't follow him in. Instead, they stood outside the courtyard and chatted idly. Xiao Chen didn't plan on letting little Miss Xing meet his lovers. When the time came, it would be too troublesome to explain the ins and outs. Furthermore, little Miss Xing was a girl. If anyone got suspicious and got jealous, he wouldn't be able to explain himself. He would have to spend a lot of effort to coax them. Therefore, it was better not to meet them. As for little Miss Xing, she didn't know why she had some hostility towards Qing Menjing and the other girls. Moreover, when she thought about meeting them, she felt a little guilty. Seeing that Xiao Chen had stopped, she also stopped. After chatting for a while, Jia Muzhen ran back with a dusty box in his hand. He excitedly ran in front of Xiao Chen and little Miss Xing. This is it. Luckily, Jia Qinchu didn't take it out. I haven't opened it yet, so I don't know if it's okay. Jia Muzhen handed over the box. Little Miss Xing hadn't even reached out her hand when Xiao Chen took it. He quickly opened the lid and looked inside. He was instantly stunned. This is... Little Smart? You, what? Little Miss Xing was just about to throw a tantrum at Xiao Chen, who had taken action without permission. After hearing what Xiao Chen said, she was also stunned. She watched as Xiao Chen took out the little smart from the box and handed it to her. Chapter 1077. Lowering her head to look at the brand new little smart, Xing was stunned speechless for a long time. This thing wasn't even as good as a phone. What's wrong? What's with your expressions? Can this phone be used? Jia Muzhen looked at Xiao Chen, then looked at Xing, and saw that both of them looked like they had been struck by lightning. He couldn't help but ask in bewilderment. Prince Ladyboy, do you want to try it? Even though Little Smart is pretty much obsolete now, this has never been opened before. Maybe it can still be used? Xiao Chen scratched his head and held on to a sliver of hope. Xing came back to her senses and hesitantly pressed the power button on the Little Smart. She discovered that it really could be turned on. The stored battery had not been used up. However, when she tried to make a call, she encountered difficulties. After a full 5 minutes, little Miss Xing finally sighed and gave up. This won't do. There's no signal here. I can't make a call. Why is it like this? Jia Muzhen took the little smart and fiddled with it for a long time. Finally, he became discouraged and said embarrassedly, Sorry, I thought this would work, it's fine. Xiao Chen patted Jia Muzhen's shoulder and took out his own phone. He handed it to Xing and said, You should use my phone to tell elder son that you're safe. Even though it's a counterfeit Apple, you can still make a call. Xing didn't reach out her hand. Instead, she pouted and said, It doesn't matter if it's an Apple or not. But this is your phone. If I use your phone number to call him, how am I going to explain it to him? I said you're stupid, but you're really stupid. Xiao Chen looked at her with disappointment. Just say that you look too devilish. I'm attracted to both men and women. I'm preparing to pursue you. Pfft. Cough, you really know how to bullshit. Little Miss Xing choked badly and rolled her eyes at Xiao Chen in annoyance. How about it? It's fine if you don't accept it. I have nothing to lose anyway. Just as Xiao Chen was about to take his phone back, Xing snatched it away from his hand. She glared at him and walked a few steps away to make a call. Sigh, women are creatures that say one thing but mean another. Xiao Chen sighed and didn't follow them. He stood there and chatted with Jia Muzhen. Although little Miss Xing was shocked by Xiao Chen's method, after thinking about it, she did not refuse. If she used this excuse, then after she reported it to the sect, she would be able to openly follow Xiao Chen. There would be no need to secretly think of ways to monitor him. Moreover, she would not have to worry about the sect misunderstanding anything. She didn't know why, but she suddenly felt that this job was pretty good. Hello, is this elder son? Little Lady Xing borrowed Xiao Chen's phone to make a call. It's you? What's wrong with you? Why is your phone switched off? Elder son originally didn't want to pick up the unfamiliar phone. He hesitated for a moment and then picked up. Then, he heard little Lady Xing's voice and immediately questioned her angrily. My phone is broken. Little Lady Xing's ears were almost deafened. She quickly moved the phone a little further away and stammered. Broken? How did it break? I couldn't get through to you before. Why did you change your number now? Did something happen? Elder son immediately fired off a barrage of questions. I'm fine. Previously, when I was following Xiao Chen, there was an accident. My phone was smashed. Little Lady Xing simply explained why she couldn't get through to him. You saved him? Then did he discover that you were following him? Did you expose the true purpose of our sect? Elder son's voice suddenly became a lot more serious. It sounded dangerous and oppressive. Elder son thought in his heart, could it be that what that person said was true? Was this girl really used by Xiao Chen? No. After he found out that I saved him, he was very grateful to me. Then. Little Lady Xing stuttered as she used Xiao Chen's excuse. Her voice was a little shaky. Could Elder Son believe this kind of nonsensical reason? What? Elder Son took a deep breath. You said that he was attracted to both men and women. In order to court you, he even gave you his phone to use? Yes. Yes. I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to find me. I was worried about my situation here. So, I used his phone to call you. Little Lady Xing nodded. What was with Elder Son's attitude? Did he believe her or not? At this moment, Elder Son's heart was in turmoil. He was frightened by Little Lady Xing's words. He secretly thought to himself that it was fortunate that he didn't personally follow Xiao Chen. He didn't expect this guy to have such a strange hobby. If a handsome and elegant person like him were to follow Xiao Chen, wouldn't he be taken advantage of by Xiao Chen? As for Little Lady Xing's weak words, he didn't care. It was one thing to be pursued by someone. However, as a woman, she was actually being pursued by a man. It was normal for her to be in a mess. Elder Son? Elder Son? Little Lady Xing didn't hear Elder Son's voice for a long time. She was a little nervous and tried to call him. Huh? That's right, I received a tip-off that you spoke up for Xiao Chen during the Jia clan's meeting and interfered with their clan's internal affairs. What's going on? Elder Son came to his senses and hurriedly cleared his throat before asking in all seriousness. It's because Xiao Chen chased me. So, he specially brought me there. He said that he wanted me to see his strength. Little Lady Xing felt that Elder Son's tone was a little gentle. She guessed that her excuse was over and continued to answer. See his strength? Why did he bring you in? He's using our reputation to do his own dirty work. Why didn't you stop him? Elder Son said with slight dissatisfaction. For the sake of the sect's future, I didn't dare to fall out with him. I had no choice but to let him speak nonsense. Little Lady Xing said with a face full of grievance, I also know that this isn't good. Didn't I immediately call you after the meeting ended? All right, I'll let it go this time. Next time, pay more attention. Don't let him borrow strength to fight. This can easily cause problems. Elder Son muttered to himself for a while. He felt that Little Lady Xing's words made sense and decided not to haggle over it anymore. All right, Elder Sunday. Next, Little Lady Xing nodded her head. She hesitated and opened her mouth to ask again. Her heart was anxious. She didn't know if the sect would directly summon her back to prevent this kind of thing from happening again. Oh. It's been hard on you these few days. For the remaining time, you should continue to follow him. As for how to deal with Xiao Chen, the sect still hasn't come to a conclusion. So, you need to persevere a little longer. The sect will remember your contributions. Elder Son replied seriously. Chapter 1078. You still want to follow me? But. Little girl Xing was secretly happy, but on the surface, she still hesitated. This is the sect's order, it must be carried out. Elder Son emphasized, then slowed down and said, Okay, I have to go get busy. You should pay attention to your own safety. If there is no special situation, don't contact me too often. Otherwise, it will be easy for Xiao Chen to find out. I also know that you are working hard. I will help you report this and apply for a reward. That's all. After saying this, Elder Son hurriedly hung up the phone. Little girl Xing stared blankly at the phone in her hand. After a long time, she shook her head with a trace of astonishment and amusement. She turned around and walked in the direction of Xiao Chen and Jia Muzhen. Motherf ***, Xiao Chen, that bastard. Why didn't he get hit by a car and die? Jia Huiyan returned to his room with a belly full of anger. Thinking of Xiao Chen's arrogant and despotic face, he felt even more upset. Ever since he was young, when had he ever suffered this kind of humiliation? In his anger, he smashed everything in the room that could be smashed and walked around like a furious lion. Originally, Jia Huiyan planned to give Jia Muzin a show of strength today. He wanted to make him lose face at the family meeting and embarrass him. Moreover, under the agitation of the crowd, Jia Huiyan had no choice but to change his mind and support the marriage between Jia Huiyan and Tian So, thus betraying the brotherhood of Shaoqin. Jia Huiyan had even prepared the subsequent chain of plans. Jia Huiyan planned to find an opportunity to poison Jia Muzin after the meeting, causing him to die suddenly. He wanted to create a false impression that he felt sorry for Shaoqin, so he left behind a suicide note and committed suicide with poison. Once Jia Muzin died, wouldn't the position of patriarch become vacant again? Who would have thought that this was only the first step, but all of his previous efforts were wasted? How could Jia Huiyan not be sullen? A good game of chess was blocked by Shaoqin's first step. When Jia Yubian pushed open the door and entered, he saw Jia Huiyan's sinister expression and bloodshot eyes. Look at you. You only suffered a little setback and you look like you're about to die. Jia Yubian frowned. He thought to himself that this child was really spoiled by him. He had never encountered a crisis before. He didn't even learn how to remain calm in the face of danger. How is this a little setback? I can't even use the things I had planned before. It's all that damned Shaoqin's fault. Jia Huiyan shouted in dissatisfaction. His heart was filled with hatred towards Shaoqin. Don't worry. I don't think this is over yet. We still have a way out. Jia Yubian shook his head and said calmly. After all, he had eaten more rice than Jia Huiyan for many years and was much more experienced. From Jia Yubian's point of view, it was too easy to quietly kill Jia Muzin and Shaoqin. Moreover, he didn't need to think about so many roundabout reasons. Really, father? You can kill them? Jia Huiyan stared blankly and hastily asked. His eyes were so bright that they were almost emitting green light. He couldn't wait to strangle the two of them to death right now. Nonsense. You are my son. Why would I lie to you? Jia Yubian rolled his eyes at Jia Huiyan and said snappily. Then quickly tell me, what should we do next? Please give me some pointers. As long as I can kill one of them, no matter how big the price is, I am willing to do it. Jia Huiyan immediately helped Jia Yubian move a chair over and looked at him eagerly. Jia Yubian smiled sinisterly and said indifferently, since Jia Muzin doesn't know how to retreat in the face of difficulties, then let's just kill him. We will use the method you used before. As long as we are careful when we use the poison, it will be fine. Still use the method you used before? Jia Huiyan frowned. But I didn't make him promise to give me the Tang sour horn. He has no reason to commit suicide. Although there is no reason, there are so many people who hate him. How would we know who did it? Jia Yubian said carelessly, moreover, your grandfather is an old fool. He may not be able to find out who did it. If we can frame Shaoqin or Jia Tuyao, that would be the best. Ha ha ha. That's true. Jia Huiyan thought for a while and nodded in agreement. In any case, the winner takes all. When he dies, who cares how he died? That's right. You are worth teaching. Jia Yubian glanced at Jia Huiyan with approval. Jia Huiyan thought that he could continue to carry out the plan. His previous dejected look was swept away. He slapped his thigh and said, "Oh right, a few days ago, Tang Qianling sent me a little girl. Although she is a bit dumb, she is quite obedient. If I tell her to go east, she won't dare to go west. I can send her to poison him." Little girl? Are you willing to do that? Jia Yubian joked. It's nothing. The woman sent by Tang Qianling is probably not a virgin. He must have played with her already, so I'm not interested. Jia Huiyan waved his hand carelessly. Let her go. In this way, even if she is discovered, it doesn't matter. After all, she is just a scapegoat. I won't feel bad if she is punished. Oh, then how do you plan to poison him? Jia Yubian nodded and asked. According to the original plan, I will find a chance to poison Jia Muzin when he is alone. Now. Jia Huiyan's eyes turned, and his expression was a bit secretive. I plan to let the little girl go to the kitchen in the morning and put poison in Jia Muzin's breakfast. Will this work? Jia Yubian frowned and objected. The Jia family's kitchen door has a detection device on all year round. No matter who goes in, they will go through this test. This is to prevent people from bringing in poison or explosives. Hee, father, you don't know about this. Jia Huiyan smiled confidently. Do you think that I will accept a second-hand product that Tang Qianling gave me if it is useless? That little girl has a natural poison body. She has 5 poisons in her body. She doesn't need to bring any poison. She is a moving poison warehouse, and it is absolutely impossible to detect. Oh. That's really possible. Jia Yubian's eyes lit up, but his expression was a bit doubtful. He asked with a little surprise, but why did Tang Qianling come here for no reason? I'm afraid it is not as simple as giving you a 5 poisons girl, right? Would he be so kind? Based on his understanding of Tang Qianling, this kid was also a person who would not get up early without benefits. He was usually busy with cultivation and accumulating wealth. If there was no important matter, he would definitely not come to the Jia family easily. Oh, he mainly came to deliver the 5 poisons secret manual to Tang Quanjiao. After he came, he stayed in the Jia family for a few days. After seeing that Tang Quanjiao was not in any danger after cultivating the secret manual, he returned home and went to cultivate on his own, Jia Huiyan explained. Deliver the secret manual? Would this kid be so kind? Jia Yubian knocked on the table and looked like he was deep in thought. I keep feeling that there is something strange about this. After all, Tang Quanjiao will be a member of the Jia family in the future. Wouldn't it be a waste of the Tang family's resources to let her cultivate the 5 poisons secret manual? If she really mastered it, the Jia family will have one more poison expert. This is very disadvantageous to the Tang family. Chapter 1079. Jia Yubian carefully analyzed the situation. No matter how he thought about it, he felt that there were many suspicious points. However, he couldn't figure out what was going on. Oh, that seems to be the case. After listening to his father's analysis, Jia Huiyan also felt that something was amiss. Maybe Tang Qianling just wants to use Tang Surjiao as an experiment. How about this? After she marries me, I will ban her from continuing to practice that secret manual, in case she accidentally causes any problems. Currently, Jia Huiyan's mind was focused on getting rid of Jia Muzin and Xiao Qin. As for his fiancée and experimenting with the secret manual, it would be left for later. Jia Yubian didn't object. If Tang Surjiao wanted to practice during this period of time, he would let her practice. If she could really master the 5 poisons secret manual, that would naturally be great. It would also be helpful for Jia Huiyan to manage the family in the future. Even if she couldn't master it, it didn't matter. In his opinion, as long as a woman knew how to manage the family and carry on the family line, it was fine. The two of them whispered in the room for a while and discussed the follow-up details. At night, Jia Huiyan went out in high spirits. Before he left, he even found a servant to clean up his messy room. The next morning, a vigorous figure came from the back mountain of the Jia family. It was Jia Jinyan, who had just returned from his morning exercise. As he had been busy with the family competition and had to entertain the visiting guests, Jia Jinyan almost didn't have time to exercise. Today, he finally had some free time, so he went to exercise for a while. In fact, Jia Jinyan liked to exercise in the back mountain for another reason. In the past, when he was exercising in the morning, he accidentally discovered a hidden place in the back mountain that was very helpful for recovering from his internal injuries. He had secretly investigated for a long time, but he still couldn't figure out the reason. Later on, he decided not to investigate further. In any case, it seemed to be beneficial and harmless. When he passed by the kitchen, Jia Jinyan originally planned to go in and eat breakfast. However, when he turned his head, he just happened to see a sneaky figure sneaking in from the side door. Jia Jinyan's eyes flashed, and he immediately became alert. He quickly used his movement technique to follow, wanting to see what this person was going to do. With light steps, he arrived at the side door. Jia Jinyan held his breath and concealed his figure. He secretly turned his head and looked through the gap in the door. The sneaky man was dressed in black and had a black mask covering his face. He was walking towards the stove where the breakfast was placed. Jia Jinyan remained calm and continued to watch silently. There was a detection device at the entrance of the kitchen. Dangerous items could not be brought in, but this man in black had walked in so easily. Could it be that he had another purpose? The man in black walked to the stove and looked around. After confirming that there was no one around, he stretched out his hand and closed his eyes, as if he was preparing something. Gradually, a ball of purple light appeared in his hand, emitting strange ripples. The black-clothed man injected the ball of light into one of the breakfasts. Seeing this scene, Jia Jinyan turned pale with fright. He didn't expect the man in black to have such a trick. He wanted to poison the breakfast. He was planning to poison the Jia family to death. How dare you? How dare you put poison in your food? I think you are tired of living. Jia Jinyan shouted. He pushed open the kitchen door and slapped at the black-clothed man. Although he was furious, Jia Jinyan didn't use his full strength. He only used 70% of his strength. First, he didn't know the strength of the black-clothed man, so he didn't dare to attack without defending. Second, he wanted to keep him alive so that he could interrogate the mastermind behind the scenes. What? The black-clothed man, who was concentrating on poisoning the breakfasts, was startled by Jia Jinyan's roar. He turned his head subconsciously and suddenly felt a fierce qi coming at him. The purple light in the black-clothed man's hand disappeared without a trace. He made an extremely fast reaction and quickly dodged to the side. Boom! With a loud noise, a big hole was blown in the wall of the kitchen. Although the black-clothed man avoided the fierce qi and was not injured, the black mask wrapped around his face was shattered by Jia Jinyan's qi, revealing an exquisite and beautiful face. If Xiao Chen were at the scene, he would be so shocked that he couldn't speak. The black-clothed man in front of him was Tang Tang, who had been missing for a long time. The huge explosion attracted a lot of people. The first to arrive were the flustered servants of the Jia family. A team of patrolling guards heard the sound and immediately ran over. Seeing Jia Jinyan and the black-clothed man standing in front of them, they immediately surrounded Tang Tang. Bold madman, you dare to behave atrociously in the Jia family's territory and try to harm the old master. You are insane. The guard captain saw that the hole in the wall was behind the black-clothed man, and Jia Jinyan was still in the state of slapping. He instantly understood the situation in front of him, so he stood up and loudly rebuked. Tang Tang didn't seem to hear the guard captain's rebuke at all. She still stared at Jia Jinyan, with her hands apart and made a defensive posture. The guard captain was directly ignored, and he was a little angry. He waved to the others and shouted, "Go! Capture this fellow who doesn't want to live." "Yes, sir." The guards responded in unison. At the same time, they ran their mental cultivation methods and rushed to Tang Tang fiercely. Tang Tang didn't seem to care about these guys pouncing on her. She still stood there with a blank expression. She raised her right hand and waved it around casually. A few strange purple lights suddenly lit up and pounced on those guards. "Be careful." Jia Jinyan's face changed when he keenly felt the horror of the purple light. He wanted to warn those guards, but it was too late. At the same time, those guards were all hit by the purple light and were forced to stop rushing forward. They groaned and fell to the ground with a painful face. It didn't take long for all of them to die, and no one was spared. Jia Jinyan was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He didn't expect that he intended to be merciful, but the girl's every move was fatal. He was angry and said with a gloomy face, "I will give you one last chance. As long as you are willing to tell me who ordered you to poison me, I will let you die in one piece." Although Jia Jinyan's tone was very cold and his aura was very oppressive, Tang Tang didn't seem to listen to his words at all. She didn't even look at those guards who fell to the ground. She still stood there motionless, looking at Jia Jinyan with a blank eyes and a stiff face. At this time, Jia Huiyan and Jia Tiao finally arrived, and so did Jia Yubian and Jia Yuto. But at this time, everyone's attention was focused on Jia Jinyan and Tang Tang. No one noticed that Jia Huiyan and Jia Yubian didn't come from the direction of their residence, but from an abandoned room nearby. Chapter 1080. In fact, Jia Huiyan and Jia Yubian had chosen a place to hide in a nearby room to observe the situation. They didn't expect that Tang Tang would be so unlucky to be caught by Jia Jinyan. They could only watch Tang Tang dodge the attack and kill a group of guards. Originally, they didn't want to show themselves so soon, but seeing Jia Tuyao and Jia Yudo coming, they knew that it would be inappropriate for them to not show themselves. Therefore, they had no choice but to sneak out of the room when no one noticed them. On the other hand, Jia Huiyan and Jia Yubian were also a little worried. Although Tang Tang looked a little dumb and didn't speak, they would be in big trouble if she suddenly sold them out under Jia Jinyan's coercion. Fine. Since you don't want to say it, don't blame me for being rude. Jia Jinyan waited for a while. Seeing that Tang Tang turned a deaf ear to him and the guards' corpses lying on the ground, he was also angry. He warned her coldly and immediately showed the strength of the 10th level of the Venerable Realm. He used all his strength and slapped Tang Tang's chest out of thin air. A violent chi made a terrible air-breaking sound and swept toward the direction where Tang Tang stood. To everyone's surprise, she did not retreat at all this time. She also raised her hand and slammed her palm heavily, but the power was obviously much weaker than Jia Jinyan's palm wind. Bang! The palm wind from the two sides collided with each other in an instant. Tang Tang's chi did not even stop for a moment and was directly swallowed up. Then she was blasted out and fell heavily on the ground not far away. Then she opened her mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Her face was pale, and it was obvious that she was seriously injured. Jia Huiyan and Jia Yubian quietly looked at each other. Both felt a little pity. Seeing Jia Jinyan's powerful palm, they thought that Tang Tang would be killed. They didn't expect that she was still alive. But after looking at each other, their eyes went in different directions. Jia Huiyan stared at Tang Tang, who fell on the ground. Looking at her pale face, it was estimated that she wouldn't live long. Now Jia Huiyan only hoped that she would die quickly. Since her whereabouts had been exposed, it was useless to force herself to live. As for Jia Yubian, he looked at Jia Jinyan, who was as steady as Mount Tai. Jia Yubian's expression became a little unpredictable when he failed to kill Tang Tang with his palm. His eyes flashed as if he was thinking about something. You're lucky that you're still alive after being hit by my palm. I pity you as a weak woman and don't want to take your life. If you're willing to tell me who the mastermind is now, I may let you run your own course. Otherwise. Jia Jinyan did not notice Jia Yubian's eyes. He walked slowly to Tang Tang and stared at her as if he was looking at a dead person. He condensed martial chi in his hands, but he did not immediately make a move. Jia Jinyan still wanted to get some clues from Tang Tang. This woman was obviously used as a tool, so he didn't want Tang Tang to die so easily. At least, he wanted to know who wanted to frame the Jia family with such a despicable method of poisoning. Tang Tang struggled for a while and spat out another mouthful of blood. She gritted her teeth and tried to stand up, but she failed several times. She didn't say a word and just stared at Jia Jinyan with an unyielding look. Grandfather, don't waste your breath on this bitch. Just slap her to death. Look at her strange appearance. She's definitely a death warrior. There's no way to reason with her. Jia Huiyan jumped in fright. His back was drenched in cold sweat, and he hastily chimed in. This grandpa was really something. He was about to die, so why didn't you just send him to the Western Paradise with a palm strike? Still asking all sorts of questions, isn't this scary? If there were not so many people around, Jia Huiyan would like to kill Tang Tang by himself to avoid endless troubles in the future. You're the only one who has so much to say. Don't blabber on about useless things. Get lost. Jia Jinyan frowned in disapproval. Just as he was about to speak, he heard a familiar voice. Plop. Before the people present could react, Jia Huiyan was suddenly pushed from behind. Caught off guard, he fell directly into the flower bed next to him, and his body was covered with mottled mud. F***CK. Xiao Chen, what's the meaning of this? You dare to hit me. Do you not want to leave the Jia family alive? Jia Huiyan almost fell to the ground. He looked up and found that the person was Xiao Chen. He suddenly flew into a rage, stood up, pointed at him, and scolded. Xiao Chen didn't seem to hear Jia Huiyan's scolding at all. He went straight to the place where Tang Tang fell. Jia Huiyan was even angrier. When he was about to rush out and pull Xiao Chen back, he saw Jia Muzhen coming from behind. Don't shout, Jia Huiyan. It's just a fall. What's the big deal? It's not a big deal. Why are you shouting like a girl? Don't you have a future? Jia Muzhen glared at Jia Huiyan with contempt, and then walked to Xiao Chen's side. You guys. Jia Huiyan was about to explode. He jumped and wanted to curse Jia Muzhen, but he was pulled back by Jia Yubian. Jia Yubian winked at his son and nudged Jia Jinyan with his mouth, indicating that Jia Jinyan was the young patriarch, and the old patriarch was also present. If he really cursed at Jia Jinyan, he obviously wouldn't get any benefits, and it would be easy to ask for trouble. Jia Huiyan understood Jia Yubian's look. He could only suppress the anger in his heart, swallow his anger, pat off the dust on his body, and stood aside with a black face. Tang Tang. Why are you here? Who hurt you? Xiao Chen quickly walked to Tang Tang's side, squatted down, and gently helped her up, leaning on his arms. He circulated his true qi to heal her, and asked softly with a dignified expression. Since breaking through to the nascent soul stage, Xiao Chen felt that his telepathy seemed to be a lot sharper. Just now, he was still in Jia Muzhen's courtyard, a little far from the kitchen. He didn't hear the loud sound of Jia Jinyan's attack, but he had been faintly feeling a bad premonition, and it was getting stronger and stronger. It seemed to be guiding him to a certain place. Following that premonition, Xiao Chen walked to the vicinity of the kitchen. Jia Muzhen was originally chatting with Xiao Chen, but when he saw this, he also inexplicably followed. After walking to the side of the kitchen, Xiao Chen found a group of people not far away. At this time, the feeling of uneasiness in his heart reached the peak. He didn't wait to observe the situation, and immediately rushed over. After pushing Jia Huiyan away, Xiao Chen saw a lot of people lying straight in the center of the crowd. Most of them were dead. When a person in black on the ground raised his head, Xiao Chen found that it was Tang Tang. Chapter 1081. After rushing over, Xiao Chen found that Tang Tang was seriously injured. Her face was frighteningly pale, so he quickly helped her up. Ugh! Tang Tang groaned painfully. She did not resist, nor did she answer Xiao Chen's question. She just stared blankly into the distance. Jia Huiyan was originally standing on the side with a black face. At this time, when he heard Xiao Chen's question, he could not help but look surprised. He looked at him strangely and thought, how does this kid know Tang Tang? Does he have a friendship with Tang Tang? After thinking for a while, Jia Huiyan suddenly thought that since Xiao Chen knew Tang Tang, he might as well use Tang Tang to frame him. In this way, wouldn't he be able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, or even 3 birds with 1 stone? He could take this opportunity to get rid of Xiao Chen, Tang Tang, and Jia Muzhen. Thinking of this, Jia Huiyan's eyes turned. He pointed at Xiao Chen and shouted, "Good, Xiao Chen. You actually know this bitch. It seems that you are the mastermind behind the whole thing. Your schemes are indeed vicious. Jia Huiyan, don't slander me. I believe that Xiao Chen is innocent. He will never do anything to harm the Jia family." Jia Muzhen immediately retorted. Although he was a little surprised when he saw this scene, he still stood on Xiao Chen's side. Humph. The witness and material evidence are both here. At this time, you are still protecting this outsider. I think this matter is done by you and Xiao Chen. The purpose is to kill the people of the Jia family that you don't like. Jia Huiyan snorted coldly. Since he had decided to seize this opportunity to frame Xiao Chen, he naturally would not easily let go of Jia Muzan, who was a thorn in his side. Jia Muzan still wanted to say something, but Jia Jinyan stood up first. He waved his hand to stop Jia Muzan and said in a deep voice, Xiao Chen, in the kitchen just now, I saw this girl poison the food with my own eyes. Since you know her, you'd better give me a reasonable explanation. Otherwise, it will be hard for me to believe you based on Muzan's side of the story. Tang Tang, can you hear me? What's wrong with you? Xiao Chen didn't answer Jia Jinyan but looked at Tang Tang carefully. He felt that something was wrong with her because she didn't respond no matter how he called her. Xiao Chen didn't believe what Jia Jinyan and Jia Huiyan said at all. Why would Tang Tang poison the food? Looking at Tang Tang, who was seriously injured and confused, Xiao Chen was in great pain, so he increased his strength and continued to send primordial qi to her to heal her. Seeing that Jia Jinyan had spoken, Jia Huiyan became even more confident. He pointed at Xiao Chen and cursed, Motherf ****. Xiao Chen, are you ***king deaf? My grandpa is talking to you. Did you hear him? Don't play dumb here, hurry up and answer the question honestly. Otherwise, I'll teach you a lesson. However, Jia Huiyan was given the cold shoulder again. Xiao Chen didn't seem to see him and still stared at Tang Tang. After a while, Xiao Chen felt that Tang Tang's injury had stabilized, so he carefully helped her to the side. Then he turned around, looked at Jia Jinyan coldly, and said in a deep voice, Old Master Jia, Tang Tang is my girlfriend. She is so badly injured. I guess it should be you who did it, right? Are you ***king stupid? Ouch! Jia Huiyan was infuriated and wanted to step forward to provoke Xiao Chen. However, Xiao Chen directly slapped him in the face. Jia Huiyan immediately spun a few rounds on the spot. He saw stars and even a few of his teeth were knocked out. I'm asking Jia Jinyan a question now. If you don't want to die, get away from me. Otherwise, I don't mind killing you first. Xiao Chen coldly stared at Jia Huiyan. The strength of the first level of the original infant stage was released in an instant, and bursts of pressure spread around. He hadn't seen Tang Tang for a long time, and when he saw her in such a miserable state, Xiao Chen was really angry at this time. He didn't intend to hide his strength anymore, so he showed his best state. When Jia Yubian saw that his son had been beaten up, he was originally enraged and was about to rush up and fight Xiao Chen to the death. However, he had only taken 2 steps when he felt that overwhelming pressure. He was a little afraid and could not muster up his courage. He could only support the dizzy Jia Huiyan and obediently retreat to the side. Xiao Chen, since you said so, it means that you have admitted that this girl came to poison the Jia family under your instruction, right? Jia Jinyan asked lightly without changing his expression. He could also feel the pressure from Xiao Chen, but because his strength was higher, the pressure was not so strong. But he was still a little puzzled. Jia Jinyan clearly remembered that Xiao Chen's strength was at the peak of the 2nd level of the Demon Venerable in the family competition. But from this suffocating pressure, his strength had obviously increased. I say, are you stupid? If I wanted to hurt the Jia family, would I be stupid enough to let others catch me? Before you figure it out, they would all be dead. Xiao Chen sneered and walked to Jia Jinyan step by step. He said impatiently, don't talk nonsense. Now I just want to know, did you hurt Tang Tang? I was the one who injured him. So what? Jia Jinyan was obviously very dissatisfied with Xiao Chen's attitude. He said sullenly, I just saw with my own eyes that she planned to poison all the people of the Jia family. And she killed more than a dozen guards of the Jia family in front of everyone. Such a cruel and sinister intention, it is not enough for me to beat her to death. Since you did it, then I don't need to be polite to you. It is useless to keep a muddle-headed old fool like you alive. Go to hell. Xiao Chen said with a poker face. Then he urged his primordial qi to gather in his right hand and slapped at Jia Jinyan. Xiao Chen. Jia Muzin was shocked and shouted anxiously. Is Xiao Chen crazy? How dare he attack Grandpa? Doesn't he know Grandpa's strength? This was a suicidal act. Jia Huiyan, Jia Yubian, Jia Tuyao, and the others pretended to be shocked, but they were secretly happy. This was really a case of wearing out iron shoes in fruitless searching, only to find it by chance. Xiao Chen dared to attack the family head. This was a great disrespect. However, with Xiao Chen's strength, he would definitely be killed by the family head. At that time, Jia Muzin would be the only one left. Jia Jinyan was also stunned. He never thought that Xiao Chen would suddenly attack. However, he had been in the martial arts world for decades, so his reaction was very fast. He immediately waved his palm to meet Xiao Chen's attack. Boom! A loud noise came out. Jia Muzin's face showed pain, while the others looked like they were watching a good show. They all thought that Xiao Chen was seeking his own death. However, to everyone's surprise, after the two palms met, they were both sent flying by each other's palm wind. Chapter 1082. Wah! Xiao Chen spat out a mouthful of blood and his body slammed into the wall behind him. His entire body sank into the wall. He felt a sharp pain in his right hand. His internal organs felt like they were being churned by a blender. They no longer belonged to him. His entire face was contorted in pain. Jia Jinyan landed heavily on the ground nearby. Although he did not spit out blood, his face was pale and he did not seem to be in a good state. However, apart from the churning blood in his chest, Jia Jinyan was extremely shocked. He could not figure out how Xiao Chen's strength had increased so much. You're not at the peak of stage 2 martial honor? What exactly is your strength? Jia Jinyan held his chest with difficulty and stood up. He stared at Xiao Chen and asked in shock. When Xiao Chen attacked just now, the strength he displayed was extremely vague. It seemed to be at the peak of stage 3 martial honor, but at the same time, it seemed to be at the peak of stage 5 martial honor. It was hard to tell. However, the martial skill he used was extremely ferocious. It did not match his cultivation level at all. How many trump cards does this Xiao Chen have? Why are you asking so many questions? Are you feeling guilty? Do you feel that it's very shameful for a dignified patriarch of a family to be injured by a wandering cultivator from the secular world? Xiao Chen struggled free from the wall as well. He did not answer Jia Jinyan's question but asked in return calmly. Although he looked calm, Xiao Chen was secretly regretting his actions. He felt that he had been too rash. When he broke through to the original infant stage, he was confident that he could challenge a stage 10 martial honor without a problem. Now, it seemed that there was still a gap between them. Ignorant junior, I originally thought that you seemed to have some ability, and I usually tried my best to respect you. However, I didn't expect that you would actually plot against the Jia family. Jia Jinyan snorted coldly, if I don't get rid of you today, there will be endless troubles in the future. However, although Jia Jinyan looked calm, the muscles at the corner of his eyes were twitching slightly. Just now, after exchanging blows with Xiao Chen, he could feel the old injury in his body begin to ache faintly. However, since Jia Jinyan had already made up his mind to kill Xiao Chen, he would not care about this small problem at this time. He immediately urged his martial qi to temporarily suppress the pain and flew toward Xiao Chen. He used all his strength to strike a palm, wanting to finish off Xiao Chen with one strike. Motherf *****. Xiao Chen couldn't help but curse when he saw this. He originally wanted to buy time and recover a little more, but this old man didn't give him a chance at all. Helpless, Xiao Chen could only brace himself to circulate his yuan qi and exchange a palm strike with Jia Jinyan once more. Boom! A shockwave visible to the naked eye spread out in all directions like a wave. The surrounding people were shocked and quickly circulated their martial qi to protect their bodies. However, it was still useless, and they were all sent flying several meters away. Jia Muzin's cultivation was the lowest. Not only was he sent flying more than a dozen meters, but he also hit a door and almost vomited blood. The nearby flowers and trees were also affected. Some trees were even uprooted and fell crookedly to the side. The flowers and plants were also scattered on the ground. The entire garden was in a mess, as if it had just been bombed. Qing Menjing and the other girls finally heard the loud noise and quickly ran out from Jia Muzin's yard. When they saw the scene, they couldn't help but suck in a cold breath at the same time. They felt their scalps go numb, not knowing what had happened. As the smoke slowly dissipated, the figures of Xiao Chen and Jia Jinyan gradually appeared. They were not sent flying like before. Both of them stood in the same place with a very calm expression on their faces. For a moment, no one could tell what the result was. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Jia Jinyan coughed twice and took the initiative to speak. Xiao Chen, looks like you're only a so-so. I really don't know where you get the courage to challenge me, a 10th stage martial honor expert. Pfft. The originally unmoving Xiao Chen's mouth twitched and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His legs gave way and he collapsed to the ground. His face was pale and he wanted to circulate his yuan qi to heal himself. However, he couldn't summon any strength. Xiao Chen. What happened to you? The girls were shocked and cried out in unison. Qing Menjing wanted to go over and check on Xiao Chen's injuries. However, she realized that Miss Xing had already rushed over and squatted beside Xiao Chen. She stretched out her hand to check his pulse with a very serious expression on her face. Tian Wangshou and the rest also rushed over and surrounded Xiao Chen anxiously, wanting to help. However, they didn't know where to start. When Qing Menjing saw this scene, she frowned slightly. Previously, when Xiao Chen and Jia Muzin brought Miss Xing back, they had already explained everything clearly. However, they were still looked down upon by the girls. Although Xiao Chen had only said that he had pretended to pursue Miss Xing in order to fool the Heavenly Gate, the girls weren't stupid. They could all tell that Miss Xing had feelings for Xiao Chen. However, one of them was focused on the mission while the other was busy cultivating. Hence, they didn't notice this point. Old master, what's going on? After a short examination, little girl Xing confirmed that Xiao Chen was only heavily injured and that his life was not in danger. She stealthily took out a pill and stuffed it into his mouth from a hidden angle. Then, she stood up and asked with a serious expression. Young Master Xing, let me explain. Jia Huiyan ran over and looked at Xiao Chen, who was lying on the ground, with contempt. He pointed at Tang Tang, who was curled up in the corner, and said, it was Xiao Chen who instructed that bitch Tang Tang to come to the Jia family's kitchen and poison it. She wanted to poison the entire Jia family. In the end, my grandfather happened to see it and caught her red-handed. I didn't expect her to resist so stubbornly. My grandfather had no choice but to execute her on the spot. What? Tang Tang? When Qing Menjing heard this name come out of Jia Huiyan's mouth, she was stunned. She quickly looked in the direction of Jia Huiyan's finger and saw Tang Tang sitting there with a dull look in her eyes. She didn't move or speak, and no one knew what she was thinking. After seeing that Miss Xing had treated Xiao Chen, Qing Menjing immediately ran over to help Tang Tang up. She shook her and asked in surprise, Tang Tang? Tang Tang. Why are you here? What was the poison that Jia Huiyan mentioned just now? Little girl, you also know this. Tang Tang? Jia Jinyan felt a little strange. Why did the other girls around Xiao Chen didn't have much reaction when they saw Tang Tang, but this girl was the only one who took the initiative? Oh, she's Xiao Chen's high school classmate, and also my classmate. Qing Menjing nodded and said lightly, although I'm not particularly familiar with her, I know her character. She definitely wouldn't do something like poisoning. Chapter 1083. After the explanation, Qing Menjing tried to call Tang Tang a few more times. She found that Tang Tang's eyes were still blank and did not respond to her at all. Qing Menjing was even more puzzled. She asked again, "Old master, may I ask what's going on?" "Ha ha ha, I knew it. Xiao Chen must be the mastermind. You see, he is so crazy that he even used his high school classmate." Jia Huiyan became even more excited. He jumped and pointed at Qing Menjing, saying, "Since you know her, you are obviously in cahoots." Jia Jinyan's face was gloomy, and his expression was somewhat ugly. His eyes moved back and forth between Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing, and from time to time, his eyes stopped on Miss Xing. His eyes kept flickering, as if he was thinking intensely about something. "Grandpa, I think we should arrest all of them and torture them. I'm sure the truth will come to light." Jia Huiyan walked quickly to Jia Jinyan and urged loudly. He was eager to have more scapegoats, so that the possibility of him being suspected would be smaller. "Jia Huiyan, don't talk nonsense." Jia Muzin walked over from not far away. Although he felt that his bones were falling apart, he endured the pain and gritted his teeth, saying, "Qing Menjing would never do such a thing." Miss Tang Tang was obviously framed. "Do you think others are as despicable and shameless as you? Humph, even now, you are still speaking for them. Are you still a member of the Jia family? I think you are also involved in the poisoning this time, right? Tell me, do you want to poison me and Jia Tiao to death, so that you can call the shots in the Jia family in the future?" Jia Huiyan snorted and immediately retorted. Since things had come to this, Jia Huiyan decided to simply go to the extreme and directly trample on Jia Muzin until he could never rise again. "I say, Jia Huiyan, your imagination is quite rich." Just when everyone was in a deadlock, a voice suddenly came from behind Tian Suru. The voice was so familiar that everyone couldn't react for a moment. They all looked in that direction in surprise. Xiao Chen spat out a mouthful of turbid air and opened his eyes. He stood up as if nothing had happened and patted off the dust on his body. He looked at Jia Huiyan and said with a cold smile, "With your negative IQ, I only need to move a finger to crush you until you can't be more dead. Is there a need to go through so much effort and waste poison? This is impossible. How can you be fine? Weren't you beaten to death by my grandpa just now?" Jia Huiyan stared at Xiao Chen in disbelief. He even thought that he was hallucinating. He could not help but pinch his thigh fiercely. It was so painful that he took a deep breath. Only then did he believe that he was not dreaming. "Oh, I think I have too much blood. Can't I just spit some out?" Xiao Chen waved his hand and said calmly, "Looks like your IQ is really low. Spitting blood is spitting blood and dying is dying. These are two completely different things. How can you talk about them together? I think you should go see a psychiatrist and have a good look at your brain." Although he was mercilessly mocking Jia Huiyan, Xiao Chen's heart was filled with emotion. Fortunately, he was now in the nascent soul stage. Otherwise, he would definitely be dead. It turned out that when a cultivator in the nascent soul stage suffered a fatal injury, the vitality in their body would automatically repair the injured area. They no longer needed to adjust their breathing to heal. Furthermore, the speed of recovery would be several times faster than before. This was a special skill of cultivators in the nascent soul stage. In other words, as long as Xiao Chen wasn't killed instantly, he would be able to recover in a short period of time. Furthermore, he would be able to resurrect with full strength. However, Xiao Chen didn't know about this before. He only found out about it after being reminded by the elder heaven ancestor when he was heavily injured. Therefore, before Qing Menjing and the others arrived, Xiao Chen had already recovered by 30 to 40%. In addition, Qing Menjing also fed Xiao Chen a medicinal pill. This greatly increased the speed of his recovery. When he stood up, he was basically in peak condition. "Hubby Xiao Chen. It's great that you're fine. Sister Sourness knew that you wouldn't leave me alone so easily. I almost scared Sister Sourness to death just now." Tian Sourness was the closest to Xiao Chen. At this moment, she cheered and rushed into Xiao Chen's arms. She hugged him tightly and showed off their love in front of everyone. Ling Er and Ling Qinxue also heaved a sigh of relief. The two looked at each other and could see the relief in each other's eyes. These girls were really scared. All right. Sourness, let go of me first. Otherwise, that idiot Jia Huiyan will spew shit again. Xiao Chen lightly patted Tian Sourness's back and pushed her away. He first smiled at Xing Menjing, then nodded at Xing Menjing and took 2 steps forward to stand in front of Jia Jinyan. Jia Jinyan's expression changed slightly as he forced a smile and said, It's good that you're fine. Otherwise, this old man will have to deal with your romantic debts. It's very troublesome. Xiao Chen crossed his arms and looked at Jia Jinyan indifferently. He said, Family head Jia, I think you shouldn't force yourself. Compared to my insignificant injuries, it seems that your injuries are more serious. As soon as these words came out, everyone present was stunned. They didn't understand what Xiao Chen meant. They couldn't help but turn their heads and look at Jia Jinyan. Especially Jia Muzin and Jia Tiao, who were standing relatively close to him, they carefully looked at their grandpa. Only then did they realize that his face was indeed not as rosy as before. Instead, it was faintly glowing with a hint of green, and his standing posture was a little hunched, not as straight as usual. Ha, Xiao Chen, I think you're trying to make a false accusation. Jia Huiyan laughed loudly and said insolently, Let me tell you, you're simply a lunatic talking nonsense. My grandfather's body is so healthy. Jia Huiyan still wanted to say a few more words to mock Xiao Chen. However, before he could finish, something unexpected happened. Jia Jinyan suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of black blood. He helplessly smiled and said, This old man has indeed underestimated you. I thought I hid it very well. I didn't expect that you would still see through me. After he finished speaking, he clutched his chest and fell to the ground. Grandpa. What happened to you? Jia Muzin's expression changed. He quickly ran over and grabbed Jia Jinyan's arm. He helped Jia Jinyan up and carefully leaned on his shoulder. Jia Huiyan and the others were even more shocked. They didn't expect that Jia Jinyan would fall to the ground just like that. They suddenly didn't know what to do. However, Jia Yubian and Jia Yuto were still relatively calm. The two of them quickly stepped forward. One came over to help support Jia Jinyan, while the other took out a pill from his bosom and let Jia Jinyan take it. Chapter 1084. Old Master Jia, I really admire you. You knew that your old wounds haven't healed yet, but you still dared to fight me with all your strength. If I were stronger, I'm afraid that even the best treasures wouldn't be able to save you, Xiao Chen said faintly, still standing where he was. Originally, with Xiao Chen's strength, it was indeed impossible for him to gain the upper hand against a 10th layer venerable. However, Jia Jinyan's old injuries had helped Xiao Chen a lot. If Jia Jinyan's old injuries hadn't acted up and he hadn't used his full strength, it would have been difficult to determine the outcome of the battle. Jia Jinyan's face was pale. He sighed slightly. He knew that Xiao Chen was telling the truth. His life could be considered to have been saved today. However, the old injuries in his body would probably be very difficult to heal. But what puzzled him the most was that Xiao Chen had also been seriously injured just now. How could he recover so quickly? Moreover, he didn't look like he was injured at all. It was so strange. Jia Huiyan, get over here. Xiao Chen ignored Jia Jinyan. He grabbed Jia Huiyan's collar and directly dragged him in front of Qing Menjing. He pointed at Tang Tang and asked, How did she become like this? Hurry up and tell me the truth. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Don't test my patience. This. How would I know? I don't know her at all. This has nothing to do with me. Jia Huiyan was very guilty and quickly denied loudly. Didn't you bring her here? Didn't you instruct her to poison Jia Muzin, and then frame me and push all the blame on me and Jia Muzin? Xiao Chen stared at Jia Huiyan fiercely and questioned him repeatedly. Although Xiao Chen wanted to kill him immediately, he knew that he couldn't do so before Tang Tang regained consciousness. Looking at Tang Tang's beautiful and familiar face and her empty eyes, Xiaochen felt sad and heartache. Countless beautiful memories came to his mind. They used to be so close, but now they were so strange. Although the current Tang Tang looked more beautiful than before, Xiaochen felt that she was not as friendly as the chubby Tang Tang in the past, and there was no sense of familiarity. Right now, she was like a soulless shell, standing coldly in front of him, but he could not recall her memories. How could I have brought her here? Don't try to put the blame on me. Do you have any proof? Maybe it was brought here by Jia Tuyao, right? Jia Huiyan protested with a weak voice. He thought that as long as he insisted on not admitting that he knew Tang Tang, Xiaochen would not dare to do anything to him. Jia Tuyao's facial expression changed dramatically. He was just standing there, yet he had been shot. In his anger, he was about to open his mouth to deny it when he saw Xiaochen suddenly sneer. Proof. Xiaochen raised the corner of his mouth, raised his hand and patted Jia Huiyan's cheek heavily several times, and threatened him fiercely, I'm not from the Internal Martial Arts Guild, and I'm not from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. What kind of bullshit proof do I need to beat you up? It doesn't matter. Anyway, as long as you don't say it, I'll beat you to death in front of so many people. I'd like to see who dares to stand up for you. Jia Huiyan, I advise you to tell the truth, or even I can't help you. With Xiaochen's temperament, he will do what he says. If you really anger him, no one will be able to save you. Jia Muzan also chimed in from the side. He thought Jia Huiyan was too stupid. Xiaochen was really angry, and Tang Tang was obviously the person he cared about very much. How could he still not tell the truth at this time? Jia Jinyan frowned on the side. Although he was a little unhappy about Xiaochen meddling in the affairs of the Jia family without permission, he saw that Jia Muzan seemed to support him, and he really did not have the strength to get involved. After thinking about it, he did not say anything. Grandpa, I'm wronged. Please save me. Otherwise, Xiaochen will kill me. Ouch. This time, Jia Huiyan really felt the killing intent of Xiaochen, and he was so scared that he shouted loudly. But before he finished, his face was slapped heavily by Xiaochen. Don't cry for your parents. In the previous internal martial arts training, I clearly heard that Tang Tang is the beauty with a special constitution that Tang Qianling gave you, right? Do you think I forgot about it? How dare you say that you have nothing to do with her? Xiaochen mercilessly exposed Jia Huiyan's lie. Everyone present was stunned, and Jia Jinyan's face was gloomy. He looked at Jia Huiyan with a trace of suspicion. Xiaochen could say the origin of Tang Tang so clearly. Did I really blame him wrongly? I didn't. I don't remember. Jia Huiyan was flustered and still tried to deny. At this time, Xiaochen was very impatient. He simply pinched a fireball and threw it on Jia Huiyan's body. He said coldly, since your memory is so bad, then you can burn first. When you remember and are willing to tell the truth, then I will put out the fire for you. Ah. It's burning me. I will tell you. I will tell you everything. In fact, these are all done by Tang Qianling. When he gave her to me, she was already like this. I was wondering. You go and ask him, I really don't know. Help. Jia Huiyan screamed and kept rolling on the ground. He wanted to put out the fire with sand, but it didn't work at all. Watching his son suffer, as a father, Jia Yubian couldn't bear it anymore. Just when he moved slightly and wanted to rush to save Jia Huiyan, he felt his arm was pulled back. Jia Yubian looked back and found that it was Jia Jinyan who was holding his arm tightly. Then he winked at him and shook his head slightly, indicating that he shouldn't be too impulsive. After all, there was no one in the Jia family who could compete with Xiaochen. Although Jia Jinyan knew that Jia Yubian was eager to save his son, if he provoked Xiaochen, Jia Yubian's life would also be in danger. In addition, Jia Jinyan thought for a moment and understood the whole line. Since Tang Tang was brought in by Jia Huiyan, then she shouldn't have poisoned the whole family. Jia Huiyan probably didn't like Jia Muzin or Shao Chen, so he sent Tang Tang to poison them. As a result, she was caught red-handed. After Shao Chen came over, he found that he actually knew this chick. After deducing it clearly, Jia Jinyan was a bit unhappy. If Jia Huiyan didn't like Jia Muzin, then he should have defeated him in a fair and square family competition. Even if he had made outstanding contributions in other fields, maybe I would have considered it. Now, he actually came up with this kind of dirty and insidious method. It was too shameful. Shameful. Chapter 1085. Although Jia Yubian understood Jia Jinyan's meaning, he also knew that he was no match for Shao Chen when he saw Jia Huiyan's burning body and his eyes were about to bleed. He could only gnash his teeth and stand on the side, thinking of ways to deal with Shao Chen. Oh. Well, I guess you don't know. Then why did you send her to the kitchen? Are you trying to poison the entire Jia clan? Shao Chen asked casually. Just now, Shao Chen had already sensed that Jia Yubian wanted to rush over and was waiting for him to come to him, so he could deal with him together. He didn't expect this cunning guy to hold back. No. I didn't. Oh, I wanted to poison Jia Muzin to death. No other purpose. At this time, Jia Huiyan was truly Huiyan, his body was burning with raging fire. Standing around, the Jia family members all had different expressions. Jia Muzin was a little angry and despised Jia Huiyan's sinister intention. Jia Jinyan was angry that Jia Huiyan didn't want to fight. Jia Tuyao and Jia Yuto didn't join in, watching the show with relish, while Jia Yubian helplessly closed his eyes. Since you finally told me the truth, I'll put out the fire for you. Shao Chen slowly condensed a water ball in his right hand and threw it to Jia Huiyan's body to put out the fire. After the fire was completely extinguished, Shao Chen turned his head and asked Jia Muzin, young patriarch, how do you think we should deal with this fellow who tried to poison you with ill intentions? I'll listen to you. This. Jia Muzin was stunned at first, but he quickly understood Shao Chen's intention. So he thought for a while and said, Shao Chen, I know you want to kill Jia Huiyan, but since he is a member of the Jia family, I'll spare his life today. Oh, okay. Shao Chen nodded casually and lifted his leg to kick Jia Huiyan's dantian. In fact, he deliberately asked this because he wanted to establish Jia Muzin's image. He also knew that Jia Muzin wouldn't let Jia Huiyan die just like that. Anyway, his kick had already turned Jia Huiyan into a cripple. In the future, he wouldn't be able to make a fuss. Seeing that Shao Chen had agreed to Jia Muzin's suggestion, Jia Huiyan, who was lying on the ground, was still rejoicing that he had managed to preserve his life. However, he immediately felt a kick to his lower abdomen, followed by a sharp pain that felt like a knife was being twisted. It was obvious that his dantian had been crippled by Shao Chen. Ao, Jia Huiyan painfully howled. He rolled back and forth on the ground for a while. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore and fainted. Seeing Jia Huiyan's miserable state, Jia Jinyan secretly sighed. How could he not know that Shao Chen asked this intentionally? However, the surrounding Jia clan members would probably feel that Jia Muzin was indeed magnanimous. After all, this guy almost poisoned him to death, but he still spared Jia Huiyan's life. As the young patriarch, wasn't it a good character to treat his clansmen with warmth and tolerance? Saori, do you know how to get to the Tang clan? Shao Chen had solved the problem perfectly. He stood up and clapped his hands to help Qing Menjing. He carefully took Tang Tang and helped her to walk to Jia Muzin's courtyard. The other women followed behind him obediently. Of course I know. However, Sister Saori doesn't want to go back. Honey, Shao Chen, why are you asking this? Tian Saori walked beside Shao Chen and asked with her head tilted. Oh, I have to think of a way to cure Tang Tang and restore her original appearance. Then, we will go to the Tang clan and settle the score with Tang Qianling. Anyway, your surname is not Tang anymore. It's a good opportunity to dissolve the relationship with them, Shao Chen explained calmly. He had long disliked Tang Qianling. How could a fool like him have the nerve to call himself the third young master? Taking this opportunity, Xiaochen planned to kill him directly. Yeah. Sister Saori has long wanted to deal with that brat. Honey, Xiaochen, you know me too well. Tian Saori clenched her fist and waved it in the air. She said excitedly, that's right, after Sister Saori practiced the 5 Poisons secret manual, I feel much stronger than before. When the time comes, let me go and punch Tang Qianling a few times to vent my anger. Jia Jinyan frowned as he watched Xiao Chen and the others leave. He had a bad feeling in his heart. The Venerable Realm was about to open. If Xiao Chen rashly went to cause trouble, it would not be good for the Jia clan. After all, everyone knew that Xiao Chen was Jia Muzin's friend and external help. If he went to the Jia clan and did not explain clearly, the Tang clan might misunderstand and think that it was the Jia clan's idea. That would be troublesome. Yubian, bring Hui Yen back to treat his injuries first. You too, take some people to clean up the scene and block the kitchen walls. Also, send more people to strengthen the security. Don't let any strangers near the kitchen. Jia Jinyan sighed and calmed himself down as he gave his orders. Yes, father. I'll do it now. Jia Yuto, who had been hiding at the side, quickly stood up and nodded. He called a few servants of the Jia clan and brought his son, Jia Tuyao, to carry out the order. Jia Yubian apologized to Jia Jinyan and hurriedly ran over. He carried the fainted Jia Huiyan on his back and strode towards his own courtyard. Muzin, send me back to the study. I have something to tell you. Jia Jinyan turned around and walked towards the study with his hands behind his back. His figure was somewhat desolate and helpless. Based on the current situation, only Jia Muzin could say a few words to Xiao Chen. Jia Jinyan thought about it, and could only choose to tell him his worries, and then let him pass it on to Xiao Chen. Only this method would work. Yes, grandfather. Jia Muzin nodded and agreed. He could roughly guess that what Jia Jinyan wanted to say must be related to Xiao Chen. He hurriedly trotted a few steps and helped Jia Jinyan to the study. After Jia Yubian carried Jia Huiyan back to the room, he wanted to give him some painkillers. However, Jia Huiyan was in a coma and couldn't swallow it. He could only give him an injection of painkillers. Then, he took out a plaster to treat burns and applied it to several more serious parts of his body. Finally, he wrapped it with bandages. Only then did the initial treatment come to an end. At this time, Jia Huiyan, who was lying on the bed, looked like a mummy. Jia Yubian stood by the bed and looked at him for a long time. He sighed slightly and ordered the servants to take good care of Jia Huiyan. Then, he took out his mobile phone and walked out. Originally, Jia Huiyan's burns could only be applied with painkillers and plasters. If he didn't pay attention to taking care of it, it might leave horrible scars. Only by relying on some medicinal pellets that were specially refined in the internal martial arts world could he recover immediately. In addition, Jia Huiyan's dantian had been destroyed by Xiao Chen. He was already an ordinary person without any ability. If he wanted to repair his dantian, he would need the rare natural treasures of the internal martial arts world. Chapter 1086. However, although the Jia family was one of the 3 major families in the martial arts world, the treasures in their inventory were pitifully few. Usually, they could only rely on high-quality spiritual jades to exchange for some common materials. Elixirs for skin remodeling and dantian repairing were even more scarce. Therefore, Jia Yubian could only try to contact some other sects and families, hoping to exchange some elixirs with spiritual jades. However, after contacting some of the people who were close to him and usually called him brothers, Jia Yubian was very surprised by the answers he received. Those people seemed to have unified their statements and were all playing Tai Chi with Jia Yubian. They were either perfunctory, laughing and changing the topic, or saying that they had something to do and hung up in a hurry. There were even a few people who didn't pick up his phone at all, completely treating him like air. Staring at the phone in his hand, Jia Yubian was a little annoyed, but he quickly figured out the reason. As Jia Musen officially took the position in the family meeting and became the young master, many people's goals had already changed, and they began to curry favor with him. Now that they had this young master to rely on, who would care about him, an elder? Moreover, he was a has-been elder. Even Jia Huiyan, who had become a probationary elder, was a guy who had given the young master a hard time. How could he have a bright future? Elixirs to repair Dantian were so precious, even if Jia Yubian had enough spiritual jades to exchange for them, those people would not easily agree. With this bargaining chip in hand, they would definitely give priority to Jia Musen. Who would care about him, a has-been elder? After thinking through the cause and effect, Jia Yubian was sad and angry. On the one hand, he was angry at the cold-hearted people, and on the other hand, he felt sad for his son's failure. When he was extremely depressed, Jia Yubian raised his hand high, wanting to smash the phone. After a long time, he finally put it down and looked at the phone in a daze. Looking at the last number in the address book, Jia Yubian hesitated for a while, took a deep breath, and finally pressed the dial button. Then he put the phone to his ear, waiting for the other party to pick up. After an unknown period of time, Jia Huiyan finally woke up. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw his father, Jia Yubian, sitting on the bedside. His face was full of wrinkles. His heart twitched, and he pretended to be calm and said, "Father, am I finished? Will I never be able to cultivate again? Will I only be able to be bullied by others like trash?" He tried his best to remain calm, but when he spoke, his voice was very hoarse. As he spoke, he even seemed to be gnashing his teeth. You're awake?" Jia Yubian was thinking about something when he regained his wits. When he heard Jia Huiyan's words and saw Jia Huiyan's miserable appearance, his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. He softened his voice and said, "Huiyan, don't worry. I will definitely think of a way to restore your Dantian to its original state. As long as I'm still alive, no one will dare to bully you. But that fellow, Xiaoqin." Jia Huiyan recalled the scene outside the kitchen and involuntarily clenched his fists. He said agitatedly, "Father, I really can't accept this. Why did Xiaoqin dare to use violence against me in public? That's in our Jia clan's territory." Ouch. The more Jia Huiyan spoke, the more agitated he became. He accidentally tore a few wounds on his body. It was so painful that he grimaced in pain and almost fainted again. "Don't talk for now. You're seriously injured now. It's not suitable for you to fight. It's more important for you to recuperate and restore your body." Jia Yubian was shocked. He quickly gave Jia Huiyan a painkiller and applied ointment on a few places on his body that were bleeding again. However, Jia Huiyan was unwilling to let it go. He continued to shout angrily, "I can understand that you didn't dare to resist at that time. But why didn't even grandfather ask about it? Could it be that he's also afraid of Xiaoqin? I don't understand. The Jia clan is one of the 3 big clans in the martial arts world. Could it be that even if we gathered all the financial and material resources of the Jia clan, we still can't kill a mere rogue cultivator in the secular world?" Jia Yubian was silent for a while. He gently patted Jia Huiyan's shoulder and said, "Leave the problem of Xiaoqin to me. I will definitely help you take revenge this time. But now is not the time. You are a direct descendant of our Jia clan. Since your grandfather doesn't care about it, then I will do it myself." Why did you?" Jia Huiyan stared blankly. He asked hesitantly. This was the first time he had heard his father curse. Moreover, the target was his grandfather. This subverted image made him unable to accept it for a moment. Jia Yubian didn't answer. The expression on his face gradually changed from one of regret and sorrow to one of malevolence and evil. Under the changing light outside the window, it seemed somewhat terrifying. Jia Huiyan didn't pay attention to this detail. Instead, he carefully pondered over Jia Yubian's previous words. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. He impatiently asked, "Father, did you think of another good idea? But this time, we can't act like before. We have to be a bit more cautious." After all, Xiao Chen is indeed not easy to deal with. Even grandfather can only fight him to a draw. It's too dangerous to act rashly. Who said that I want to deal with Xiao Chen? He's not the only one who can pose a threat to us. Jia Yubian coldly smiled and asked. Oh. Could it be that we want to deal with Jia Muzin? That's also fine. I've long since found him an eyesore. It doesn't matter who gets rid of him or Xiao Chen. In any case, it's fine as long as we can hand over the position of family head in the end. Jia Huiyan thought he understood Jia Yubian's intentions and said with a look of sudden realization. Jia Yubian didn't speak again. He seemed to be thinking about something. Although the last phone call just now didn't succeed in exchanging for the elixir, the other party provided him with more valuable information. Therefore, before Jia Huiyan woke up, Jia Yubian had been thinking about the feasibility of this matter. Father? What's wrong with you? Jia Huiyan saw that Jia Yubian was in a daze again. He tentatively shouted. He suddenly felt that he couldn't understand Jia Yubian's thoughts. Since he woke up, his father seemed to have changed into a different person. There was an indescribable feeling. They will die sooner or later. But we have to first. Jia Yubian came back to his senses. A trace of ruthlessness flashed through his eyes. Then, he explained his plan in detail. In Jia Muzin's courtyard, Tang Tang was sitting in Xiao Chen's room in a daze. No matter what others said or did, she didn't respond. Xiao Chen had checked her body several times with his primordial qi, but he didn't find anything unusual. First, she didn't show any signs of poisoning. Second, she didn't have any instrument to control her mind. But now, she was definitely being controlled by someone. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.